Alright, welcome to my Religious Life video blog for this 5th Sunday of Easter. And you just heard this from John chapter 13 verses 31 to 35, because everything else can be civilized about this one. So, whatever it is. Anyways, here's the new commandment just for you. You know what I'm talking about. Verse 31 says, when he had gone out, Jesus said, now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify. How many times you said God? 3 times? Or where it is? But anyways. So, glorify him at once. How many you always say glorified? How many times you say God? Glorified. What it is? 3 times. What it is? Never mind, I won't say it. Anyways, going on at verse 33. Little children, listen. Little children, yes, you guessed it. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me. And as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By this, everyone, you will know that you are my disciples. If you have love for one another. Wow, that could be awesome, as far as we're concerned. But enough of that, as far as we're concerned, wherever it is. Anyways, let's keep it civilized, or as far as we're concerned, trust me about it as well. Anyways, with this standing still, it drives me crazy. Anyways, let's see. Oh yeah, there you go. So that'll be fine. I'm gonna make it stand up, whatever it is. But anyways, here's my observation for you about try to bend inside this major themes, because Jesus now begins what is commonly called his farewell discourse. As far as we're concerned. So who knows can be civilized about this one? Trust me on it as well. So this section follows a literary form of common in the ancient word, not just, yes, seriously, at least within Judaism. And there are numerous of examples of a great man or woman giving the final speech. Yeah, you go inside, give the final commencement speech inside your college campuses or whatever happens. Or you give a final speech, just like I did on my final thoughts on the Blaze Television Network, as far as we're concerned. So is my video blog, wherever it is. Because giving the final speech to those who are close to him or to her, for example, Jacob, Moses, Joshua, Samuel, David, Tobit, Noah, Abraham, Rebecca, Isaac, Enoch, Ezra, Baruch, and the 12 sons of Jacob have these final thoughts, have the final comments about this one. And these accounts, though diverse, have several common elements. And the great man and woman just tell this, you guessed it, tell about the impending death, and in some cases offers comfort in the face of the grief this announcement produces. Now, if he or she predicts what will become in the future, of course, including in different cases of evil or God's care. Listen up. This is in keeping with the belief that the one about is to die is given in prophetic powers. And these discourses are also contained in the instruction on how those who left behind should have to behave. And at all times, the discourse will conclude with a prayer for those who left behind. And as far as we're concerned, trust me. Now, although Jesus very well tried to discourse with this, try to fit the frame with this pattern, and there is no notable exhortation that the one who is about to leave will continue to be the present through the Spirit, and it will return at the end of the age. And well, guess what? Indeed, the way that Jesus speaks in this section try to transcend it. Yes, transcend it. Yeah, get ready for Pentecost. So this could be, in June. It's good. Get ready to do something. In Pentecostal world. So who knows? After Easter, you know what I'm talking about. And I bet Ascension Day starts not this Friday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. It should be perfect. Who knows? Can be civilized about this one, because that's why he speaks in an oracle style, and often as if the glorification has already tried to take place. He said he is really speaking from heaven, although those who hear him are his disciples. His words are direct to Christians at all times. So, give me one of the reasons why that the keynote of this chapters is assurance and comfort in the face of these two difficulties coming upon the disciples. Well, Jesus' death and their own persecution, and that's why he prepares for them his death and the coming of the Spirit could be called the Paraclete, and that's why he speaks the opposition between the world and them as his disciples, and that's what he prepares. Seriously, he prepares them for hardships to come, and that's why he does this by showing them that this opposition comes from their union with himself. So, in this whole subject of his ministry, and that's ministry, and then the particular glory could be a mutual indwelling and love, and that's why this is the main point. The main point is the experience of life in God, the disciples, and having it, and it will continue to have it as well. It has something and it has the relation of between the Father and the Son and all that. Because in these chapters inside this Holy Bible scriptures, could be the believers try to describe the relations to this person, to the persons of the Godhead. As far as we're concerned, we learn about this one. And Judas Iscariot departure, well, it becoming like the Greeks, and has been signaled that a new stage of the glorification has been reached. And I know the betrayal, but you have no idea whatsoever. Could be the Son Son of Man is now glorified, and God is glorified in him. So it has been the Son of Man is the one to be glorified. That is the Messiah, comes from heaven, and who brings God's life and judgment, especially through the cross. And the cross has itself inside this revelation of divine glory. And the way for Jesus shares the divine life with his followers. So much for that one. But this terms of endearment, try to express his love and the pointed introduction to his announcement, that is the departure is imminent. And that's why Jesus seems to refer not just to the time of separation between his death and resurrection. And for this reason, it doesn't do after his death, but which they did do after the resurrection, just as the first disciples sought it out. And it goes on and on. It goes on and on. So, to wrap this up for this, you guessed it, 5th Sunday of Easter. Because here's why, to wrap this up. This is the love of Jesus that is speaking of. It's not a simple feeling, but you cannot really tell the command of feeling. And it will be doing it for the best of your ability of this other person. And since God will alone is that which is truly good in this whole situation, well, guess what? Love acts in obedience to God's will and under the guidance of the Spirit. And that's why Jesus has revealed his life by doing what he sees that the Father is doing, and only speaking what he hears from the Father. And of course the moral of my Religious Life video blog story is this: that the same pattern is to be true of the disciples. And why? It's because whoever claims to live in him must walk as Jesus did. And the feelings of this compassion will be concerned at the present time as the disciples more and more perfectly shares in God's love, God's own love, with those around him or her. And such feelings are not the source nor the evidence for this love that Jesus has demanded his followers. Think about it, and you learn John chapter 13 for this reason, as far as we're concerned. Anyways, that's my Religious Life video blog story. I'm sticking to it. Don't go away. Hashtag Omo Choirs at Resurrection at 30th and Belvedere. And so, as you guessed it, Our Savior's Lutheran Church over Council Bluffs for Celebration Life Choir is right here only on Facebook. Watch, and you'll love it. We'll be right back.